think anybody ever wakes up and says, I think I'd like to be more mediocre today. But unfortunately, studies show most of us aren't super conscientious or intentional with our days. You know what this looks like. You wake up and you have the same coffee, you get into your car, you drive the same route to the same job, and you show up, and you just show up, and you show up again. It's called living your life on automatic. I know a lot about it because I did it for years, and it wasn't super fun. In fact, if you find yourself tolerating your life, tolerating your work, and you get a little tired of what it feels like, I invite you to consider it's good to be good. It can be great to be great. But what would it look like if you leveled up your standards and operated in excellence? Excellence is actually where the magic happens. But too often, we simply don't strive for it. I remember very clearly on my 40th birthday, I decided I was going to do a triathlon. And not any triathlon. I was going to do the steepest course in the United States. The only trouble was, at that time, my business was exploding. And I was not training. And we were getting closer and closer to the race. And I coached a lot of people at that time in their leadership. So I decided I needed to hire a leadership coach for me. And my coach, Coach Lee, and I got on a call right before the race, and I was celebrating extraordinary work success. But my Coach Lee, he had this philosophy that how we do anything is how we do everything. So when I told him all about my awesome news about how great work was going, he was done with it. He said, tell me about that race you signed up for, Meredith. And I said, yes, about that. I just found out they don't give refunds, but I haven't been practicing, so maybe I could just move my credit to next year. And he interrupted me, and he said, you will do that race. You will do that race because you don't break your word. I know that about you. And you will cross the finish line, and you will call me, and we will celebrate. And then he hung up. He literally hung up on me. So I had no choice. The old me probably would have broken my word. I mean, I literally did the swim part once. In a triathlon, you need to do a swim, followed with a bike and a run. Again, in the steepest course in the United States. That's what I signed up for. So you can imagine when the day of the race came with virtually no practice, I almost vomited on top of my swimsuit and inside my wetsuit because it was freezing. I was shaking with fear, totally convinced that somebody was going to kick me in the head in the swim, and I didn't want to get kicked in the head, so I swam really fast. But the downside of that is when you exit the water, you are super dizzy. And triathletes are very competitive. You see, there's a little space where you transition from the swim to biking. And it was in that spot where I saw a woman screaming and crying on her back. And literally hundreds of people surrounded her. They were ignoring her. So I did my best to wobble over. And I said, are you okay? And she looked up and she said, I'm not. I'm too dizzy. I can't do this. And I just reached out my hand. Excellence is an attitude that you are never alone. And it's not about you. No matter if you're in a race, you're under deadline. And I lifted her up, and she got on her bike. We both wiped a little tears out of our eyes, and we made it up the hill. Then we weren't finished, of course, because I had to finish another 5K running. And in the end, I crossed the finish line, and two things happened. I called my coach, Lee, and it was awesome. I have to tell you, up until then, not only did I not operate in excellence, I broke my word all the time. I mean, I have lost 10 pounds 10 times, and I've gained it back 10 times. I love a good French fry. But I realized when you cross a finish line, when you do things you think you cannot do, you are creating an opportunity to level up not just your business, but your life. And if you want to operate in good, that is good. And if you want to be great, I encourage you to be great. But there is an opportunity not to be perfect, but level up and operate in what I call excellence. There is actually a secret weapon, if I may share, that every single one of you has, but rarely uses. If I showed up here really quiet and meager with no energy, would you enjoy hearing me speak? Probably not. Energy is your secret weapon. If you show up in dark, bad, or sad energy, that is contagious. So why not show up in your best energy? Because that's something you can control. That's actually a choice, and you can make it day in and day out. The greatest leaders are not perfect, and they're not good and they're great, but they're striving to be their personal best, to operate in excellence. And why not have a little fun doing it? Now, the trouble is, you might be sitting there thinking, I don't know what my greatest gift is. But at the end of the day, we all have amazing, beautiful gifts. And if we don't work to figure those out and share them with others, I would say we're operating as selfish. And that's the best way to wake yourself up and remind yourself that if you're going to be intentional with your time and energy, or how you do anything is how you do everything, then I invite you to show up that way every day. So, of course, when I was invited to the world's greatest motivators conference, I had the pleasure of sitting next to the cutest young man at lunch, and I asked him, "Are you a speaker too?" And he said, "No, but I'd like to be. And unfortunately, even though I want to launch a business when I graduate from college, I probably won't make it." Well, never tell a motivational speaker that you're never going to make it. So I asked him, "Please tell me more, and if I can, could I help you?" It turned out Logan had a massive problem in his brain and needed surgery that his family simply couldn't afford. He did not know that he was going to live to graduate. So in the end, I asked him, "Could I help you share your story?" And I didn't wait, because the old me would have procrastinated. I said, "Could we do that today?" That evening, we launched a GoFundMe. He raised $7,000 on the first day, $12,000 on the third, and exceeded everything he needed on the third day. People care about your stories. They want you to win. Standout leaders that operate in excellence shine when they give their gifts to the world. So please, whatever you do, don't hold back. Because trust me, I've been there in the sea of mediocrity. I've put off and delayed more dreams and goals than most. And I promise you, I do not strive for perfection. That'll burn you out 10 times over. I know I've burnt myself out many times. The easiest choice is to choose to be your personal best, because excellence, just like energy, is contagious, and that can lift a company, that can lift a team, that can lift and let you lead your life so that you not only stand and shine, you make a difference. And that's what we're here to do. I hate it when people say there's no I in team. There are so many I's in a team. And if you see something that isn't working, say something. Be what's missing. Excellence is stepping in when you see your colleague suffering. Excellence and being a standout leader that shines is showing up better than you did yesterday. And noticing if somebody is struggling, that you can help them, and doing it without hesitation. Asking for what they need if you see that there's something missing. Life is meant to be fun. And if excellence isn't an accident, I invite you to level up, because that's where the magic happens.